Well, look, it is Chris and Mark here back, just the duo, on this week's episode of Mastering Workplace Culture. And Mark, let's talk a little bit about why we decided to steal a slot.
Yeah, well, Chris, like there's been a lot going on in the world the last week or so. And it seemed, as you and I were talking earlier today, it seemed like this is a really good time to just slow down. As much as we'll miss that third head in our podcast visuals, but maybe it's time to just slow down and start talking about some of the big ass elephants in the room and try to understand what's going on in the world from a leadership and a culture perspective, and hopefully do all that without just worshiping the problem, but focusing on the fix. So I'm excited to just have this opportunity for the two of us to chat.
Well, I am too. And we talked quite a bit over the last 3 months about the guests we've had and everything we've learned from them. And we've got some things bubbling in our heads from some long ago, 3 months ago, guest discussions, as well as some very, very recently. And there's some really great leaders that are committed to people and passion and respect and purpose. And I think we can integrate some of that into looking at some of the broader global issues, which we probably aren't going to fix today.
No, we're not going to fix all of them. And by the way, thanks you to everybody for your encouragement and your participation. We're thrilled that Mastering Workplace Culture is taking off and hit a nerve with some. We thank our guests mostly for that. Chris and I just usually sit here and go blah, 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 but it's our guests that are so passionate about their workplace cultures and the impact they've had as leaders that are making it possible for you and I, Chris, to have this conversation today.
Yeah, so let's dive in. I wonder if a good place to start isn't a bit about politics impacts everyone within the country of the political, environment that is happening. It certainly is the case here in the United States. But I I was grounded in my nonprofit days. You and I just talked about this a bit. As I spent 15 years in nonprofit management, one of the benefits I had through most of those years was being an adult supporter, kind of coach, advisor of high school kids who would come into the youth and government program. It's in a variety of states, YMCA program across the country, may well be broader than that and is an international experience for high school kids as well. But we spent 3 months a year with a small group, 20 to 30 high school kids who were passionate about the political process. So they learned Robert's Rules of Order. They created bills within their own branches. They had to go to the board of directors to get the bill kind of blessed by those volunteer board members, and then we used to go to Camp Roberts in San Luis Obispo for a couple of events pre the state capitol in Sacramento. But there was a model court, and they did absolute modeling of what a state Supreme Court, maybe even, broader, the state of the Union's Supreme Court. But we saw most of the action in these young people being passionate about the ideas they generated back at their homes and bring them into a committee, maybe getting them through committee, maybe getting them to the floor of the actual Senate and Assembly. And then some of them were made into law and signed by the youth governor. But what they learned was the absolute core of the founding fathers' vision for how local minds and local concerns and local passions could become a guideline so that communities benefit, so that individuals benefit. And so here we are watching for the last, I'm going to call it 30 years, Congress doesn't do much of that anymore.